Welcome to the demonstration for drawing Aaron. I measured the overall shape from his elbows horizontally and to his head, and it came out to be about a square. And I measured his head, it was about 1/3 of that overall shape. So I marked these light lines. That dark line in the corner is the corner of the room. And his head is, I'm starting to block out his head with a series of straight lines, kind of making it into a box form. And you can use the kind of negative shapes at the neck to get the angle. Just roughly putting in the shoulders and the arms, and his body is very vertical, so that's kind of the center line of his body. And the 1/3 mark is actually not at his pec line, but it's a little bit below in his belly, so just above that I drew the kind of diagonal lines for his pecs. And now I'm drawing the negative shape between his arms and his torso, because that helps to kind of build upon the forms around those shapes. The lines of the legs, extending the line between his pecs and his arm. And that shape on the left has a very clear definition. And the shadows are kind of also another shape that we can see. It doesn't require a solid line, but you can hatch those to get some sense of depth and definition. And I'm realizing that arm wasn't quite so low, because that curve in his left arm kind of lines up with his navel. And I'm realizing I'm making some adjustments. Maybe that shape needed to be a little higher. Now on the right, just filling in the shoulder, neck, nipples. Now going on to his head. I'm drawing the boundaries of the left side of his face and the right side of his face. The right side, from our point of view, is wider than the left side, and the nose is pretty much in the middle between those. I measured where the eyes were, and they're kind of at 2/3 up the face in this pose. Drew the eyebrows and that shadow to the right of the nose. And I'm paying attention to the shape, the round shape at the end of his nose, because I think that's pretty key into making it look like him. And then from there, defining the nostrils and what are the shapes of those nostrils. I'm going back up, adding a little shadow at his forehead. And his eyes are fairly close to the nose, I think, in the overall shape of his head. Adding some more of those shadows. Redefining that end of the nose. And then jumping to his kind of left-right temple, that clear line between his hair and his cheek. Now roughing in the beard with some quick hatch marks and his mustache. Seeing how those shapes are and how they connect. Just a slight indication for the top and the middle line in his mouth and the hair below his bottom lip. And the left side of his head. There's that shadow on his left eye. And the eyelid line is pretty clear, adding some definition or shadow on the sides of his head. The shadow on the wall. So that shape probably should have been a little taller, adding more shadow where, indicating where the belly is. Got confused there with that shadow on the right, but clearly marking that negative space. And the back of the sofa. And that's it. This is kind of a summary diagram of the drawing and my comments. So overall, it's a roughly square frame, measuring the width of his arms up to his head, compared to his head. It's kind of square. And then I measured his head compared to the rest of his body, and I measured that it was about 1/3 of that composition. And then I marked the 1/3 tick marks lightly. You can see the note on the left. I put those little lines in the middle. And then overall, his torso is very vertical, and his head is tilted at that angle. And I said that I drew his head as a rectangle, so most men's heads should be drawn as boxes. But looking at the photo on the left of Aaron, his is more like, it's a little bit like a trapezoid, where it's a little bit narrower at the top. And I'm not sure I really captured that in my drawing. So let's see what else. At the bottom, I realized that I had drawn the forearm too long, I guess, and I realized that the curve in his forearm kind of lines up with his navel, so I kind of moved that up as well. And at his neck, I forgot to correct that. It does not quite look right. I put that in the red there. Okay, and I'm going to be doing another video drawing his face using a different photograph. So I hope you will look forward to that. See you then. Bye.